Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Now, if you've been following my channel for some time now, you will know that a couple of years ago I gave up my job as an automotive clay modeller and basically went back to school, well, university to be precise. I took up a full-time course in clock and watchmaking at a degree level. Now, I did a few videos in the first year, basically telling you how it was going. Well, as soon as I'd finished that year, I took a bench test at a small company called AJWSL in Jewellery Quarter. And basically, stripped down a 2824 and put it back together again. And the boss overall was really happy with what I did and then showed me all the parts I was doing wrong. And basically we went from there. And I've been working there ever since. And I've been trying to do that and also do my university course and obviously keep this YouTube channel alive. So when I went back to university in the second year, things felt so much different because obviously you'd been there for a year before and you've seen the new first years turn up, which is always quite interesting. Now, coming back, the first thing we had to do was a series of watch services. So we had to service 5 different watch movements. Now, these were still relatively simple. I believe one was a calendar-based movement. It had to be an automatic. I can't remember if we did a manual. Some was a very small lady's watch and those kind of things. And we had to keep a full journal about how we did it, timing results and so forth. So, and that wasn't too much of a problem. I think it was like 1,000 words for each one or there, round about there. So that wasn't really a problem. This is in the first half of the second year. We were then also given a carriage clock to fully strip down, service, and also polish any plates, and including lacquering and things like that. Now, in the first year, you are very much led through each stage of the process, really. In the second year, things change as they expect you to be able to do this already. You were still given sort of like small demos on lacquering and polishing because these are things we hadn't done before. But all the rest, when it came to fault finding, checking depth of the pallets, possible rebushing of any parts, all this kind of thing, you had to then do off your own accord. So that was how it was done. And to be fair, that was actually quite an enjoyable task. And it was an 8-day movement with a platform escapement. And overall, I really enjoyed that. And it actually felt like the start of a second year, kind of coasting. And obviously, I was doing that, but I was also learning while I was, on the job at my at the other company. But then came the second term in the second year. Now, that's when things really, really ramped up. Suddenly, we had a recoil to make. We had to make a recoil escapement with it. So basically, we had to cut our own teeth on a escape wheel. We had to engineer both a drawing out of CAD and engineer our own pallet fork and do all the depthing ourselves and fit that to the mini clock we had made the plates for in the first year. Now, making the plates for the mini clock was relatively, I thought for myself anyway, straightforward. But when it came to making the escapement for it, that's a whole different level because you're looking for the impulse, the lock, an impulse of the depthing of the pallet fork. Even crossing out the wheel took an entire day. What I mean by that is cutting out where we'd made the escape wheel. We then had to cut out all the spokes in there. So that's called crossing out. And it took an entire day of doing this. By hand, that is. Obviously, there are quicker ways of doing it, but we were supposed to do it by hand. And that overall, it was a little bit stressful, but got it all done, did well on that. And then the next thing we had to do was, while that was going on, we had a business essay to hand in. Now, all of these you had to do a write-up about, and the write-up can make and break your mark because they're normally 50-50. So you had to do an essay for the recall, then the business essay. That was an incredibly hard one because you had to fully structure of a business, asking for a loan, reasons for a loan, how will you pay back this, blah, blah, the full works and tax and all that lot, and yearly and quarterly projections. I didn't enjoy that at all. That was a really quite a tough one, but we got through there in the end. And then we had to make a cock and pallet. Now, this was very fine, detailed work, and it was involved a lot of different finishes. You had to have end shake on air, you had to make the balance staff, you had to do bluing, hardening, tempering, the full works. Now, again, when it comes to all the practical side of things, I do enjoy that kind of thing. It's something I do like. I'm very much hands-on. That I really enjoyed. But then again, you also had to do another 3,000 word essay for that. And obviously, these all take time. Now, in between doing all this, we obviously had all the companies, big companies on the business days come in, trying to get people from the university to go with them. So you got Watches of Switzerland, you got Bremont, and you've got kind of a lot more different companies as well coming along, trying to get the guys out of the third years, the guys and girls from the third year who are just finishing. And it was really interesting talking to these now, because now you're suddenly more accessible to these, because these things are going to happen. We also had guest speakers come in, like Stephen Hale, who's very much a kind of Rolex specialist guy, and what he actually makes his own parts. When he can't get them, he will make them, and it's truly impressive stuff. So you got to meet some really interesting people as well, so that I really did enjoy. Got to meet the famous Roger Smith again. He's such a nice guy, so real great guy to talk to. And then we had to do a public clock presentation. Now, what that meant was we had to come up with a clock design to use, somewhere obviously public related, between four of us, and we'd have to give a presentation in front of everyone for this. And to be fair, that wasn't too bad. I was lucky because I had a good group, but you know what it's like. I'm very much, I'd rather just work on my own and get my stuff done. So you're always reliant on other people, and it's always hard, but it was still a good project, and you had to give a write-up at the end of that. And the very last part of the year was your solo presentation, because in the third year, you have to make your own clock from scratch. So you've got to come up with the gear count. What I mean by that is all the different wheels and teeth, how many for what, and it gets complicated. But fortunately, there are already well-used gear counts you can use. Now, basically, what I came up with was a pendulum-based clock. So it had to be pendulum. You've got to make your own escapement, which makes ours a little bit harder than the year before. Because they were allowed to use platform escapements pre-brought in, so we've actually got to make our own. So I came up with basically a pendulum clock, wall-mounted, which is going to be spring-driven, and I'm going to try and incorporate a jump hour system in there. So it'll have a single hand, like a regulator-style hand, and above that will be a jump hour. And so it should be interesting to see if I can pull it off, because when you look at previous years, in all fairness, it's blooming hard to make your own clock and work from scratch. Also, the university want to see something a little bit more interesting than a simple two-hand clock, let's say. They want to see something which is modular, which you can do stuff to, add stuff to later. And it was really interesting because I went to the third year's the presentation at the end of the year, and some of the third year's clocks were amazing, but not all were working, and that's quite normal, as sometimes you just can't get everything done. So it's going to be interesting to see if I can actually do this. So I gave a full presentation on that and submitted my designs for what I want to do for my final year. Fingers crossed, I'll try and record all the progress on there and release it maybe at the end of the year and see how it goes. But yes, the second part of the second year was incredibly. There was a lot of work involved. Definitely, it wasn't for the faint-hearted. It made the first year look incredibly easy. So now I'm waiting until September to start the new year, and then start in earnest on really trying to get that clock done as as quickly as possible and still keep the YouTube channel going and still work at AJWSL in the quarter. So see how it goes. But really sorry for the very late update, but there you go. Anyway, all the best, guys. Any questions, leave them in the comments below, and you know I always try and get back to you. Take care. Bye.